Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a she is a best-selling author, powerhouse mompreneur, and top female motivational speaker, and who's become known for inspiring high-level professionals, no other than Miss Meredith Alexander.
Well, hello, Daniel, and hello, whoever is out there. If you are out there watching that, thank you
Yes.
so much for joining us here.
Yes, and welcome on Book 101, Miss Meredith. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
Oh, well, I think you covered the highlights. You know, it's hard to capsulate it into just a bit. Let me just say that that was kind of the professional overview. And in a nutshell, prior to that, I have been an entrepreneur all of my life. I've had several really successful businesses, running them simultaneously to being a single mom. So whether you have been a single parent or a parent with someone else, you know that it's like having two full-time pursuits. And so I felt like I was chasing and chasing and chasing until leading into this book. One day in the middle of my busy season on a Friday, the phone rang and my entire world changed because my youngest child, who had been on a fellowship from Yale, had been randomly crushed by this boulder that had been probably attached to the side of a mountain in Colombia, South America for millions of years. And it chose that moment to come plummeting down on my youngest child. So, that, needless to say, is not something that any sort of business or entrepreneurial training prepared me for, certainly. And so I had a choice in that moment. Who was I going to be, and who was I going to allow that boulder to perhaps turn me into? And that is really what spawned on this book here.
Yes, and Miss Meredith, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Thank you, and hoping for more and more empowering books like this to come. The sky is the limit. The title presents a beautiful paradox. We use the sky is the limit to mean infinite potential, yet you say that limit is the beginning
Is
or
just the beginning.
just the
Absolutely.
beginning. Yes,
Absolutely. And Daniel, let me hop in there. First of all, to reference that my child's name is Skylar. And
Skylar.
so, w- literally, medical precedent based on four of the injuries that she sustained were supposedly, historically unsurvivable. And she had four of them. So they were preparing me to actually pick up the body of my child and preparing me to go through the rest of my life as the mother of a child who had been tragically killed by a boulder. However, the beautiful irony is that I had to get on a plane. In fact, I had to get on multiple planes. And I can tell you, Daniel, that one of the most powerful places to be pushed to your limit, or what you think is your limit, is 30,000 feet, because it feels like you're in the middle of the heavens. And so it was really a moment that captured that abyss, that precipice, that depth, between who I believed myself to be in the past and who life was challenging me to become. And in that time frame, I had to make a choice. And for me, that choice would impact the fate of my daughter. And I had spent decades studying the inner game and people who had faced insurmountable challenges. And I had become curious about those who it did not break them. In fact, if anything, it made them more epic. It made them bigger. It made them bolder. And it always came down to what I called the way they played their inner game. And so on that plane, I really asked myself how much power I was going to give that boulder. If the worst of the worst happened and my daughter did not survive this, what was I going to make this mean? And from my perspective, I wanted to give my daughter a shot for a miracle. And so if there was any role, any chance that I had in influencing this outcome, I was going to say game on, because I realized that I may not be able to control the things going on in the outer game. I couldn't undo the boulder. Certainly couldn't get in there and help with her medically, but I sure as heck could play a mean inner game. And so that is really where that subtitle came from, because in that moment, I made a promise to my child, to myself, to whatever forces in the universe, whether you believe in a God, whether you believe in the inner essence of humanity, whatever it is, I made a promise that I would be bold enough to find this version of myself that hours before I hadn't even believed was possible. And so, what I thought was my limit proved to be just the beginning. And so, this book captures the actual posts that I posted over the next 4 months as I got the call that told me I needed to rush to Colombia. As I got to Colombia and I found my daughter with her hair all shaved off her head, her face so swollen, she was barely recognizable. When she got back to Miami and went after procedure after procedure after procedure for months, and it was about applying that, whether you want to call it the law of attraction or a strong inner game, I believed that I couldn't be the only one focusing that on her miracle. I had to help all the people around the world who knew her get there as well. So that's what I started sharing in these posts. And because they were so empowering to people, people began to share them and share them to more people until we had thousands of people following them. And someday, one day after she survived and both of us were going down the sidewalk, someone recognized us and asked when I was going to turn it into a book. And I said, "Why do you want it in a book? It's on Facebook." And they said, "Well, but we want to hold it. We want to highlight it. We want to gift it to people." And that is how this book was born, Daniel.
Congratulations, Miss Meredith, and hoping for a prequel or sequel of this book.
Well, this is the first. I have another book which really breaks down the process of unleashing the epic version of you, that
Mhm.
empowered, purpose-driven, innovative, collaborative. That's the 100 Days of Epic that you may be able to see. And then, ironically enough, when I say we, my daughter, who did survive the unsurvivable and actually this year was crowned Ms. Wheelchair Florida. So she and I have written a children's book series called, wait for it, My Friend the Boulder book series. And the
Yes.
first book, Miracle Princess and the Boulder, is actually based on that crazy boulder tumbling down on Princess Happiness, i.e., my daughter. So we've been taking that story and using it to teach future generations that challenges or opportunities and the scars that they may have, the ways they are different, those are your story. That is what makes you special and makes you who you are. So we go to schools, we go to hospitals, we go to organizations, and we read these books out loud. And of course, we sell the books to families and use this experience to help make the future generations of the world not only kinder to each other, but perhaps kinder to themselves.
Kinder to other people for sure. And Ms. Meredith, how do you help readers differentiate between a limit that is launching pad and limit that is genuine?
Um, so it's interesting. That's a great question, Daniel. And I would say a limit that is genuine is often something that is based in something that is very tangible. So, for example, when I was young, I had a dream of becoming a ballet dancer. And at this point in my life, not so much. That's not a direction that I'm going to go. However, the limitless aspect of that is to ask different questions. And why was I so in love with being a dancer? What was it that I truly wanted to feel in my heart, to that would make me come fully alive? Well, yes, at that stage of my life it was the dance, but what it really is, when I ask myself and look a little bit deeper and look beyond that apparent limit, it's that sense of really aligning with the things in your world that make you feel fully alive, that playing with things and and showing up, l- looking for your passion, or choosing to live your passion. Both Skylar and I firmly believe that joy is not a reward for success. It's the foundation for achieving it. So where the limitless comes in is when we resist the temptation to define what going beyond that limit is going to look like, what success looks like. We say, I think I know. This is what perfection looks like. This is what the ultimate relationship looks like. And we box it in, and inadvertently, we've created our own limits. When we release that and allow ourselves to harmonize with our life and our experience, then we really experience what true limitlessness can be.
How does the concept of the limit tie into a common mindset challenge like imposter syndrome, fear of failure, and perfectionism?
So that's a great question. And I would again say that, imposter syndrome, first of all, it's very, very natural. It doesn't matter what level of achievement you have, that imposter syndrome, it shows up for all of us. And it can be something that if we dwell upon it, it can be very crippling and it can actually fester and grow. If we get curious about what it might be disguising, what it's inviting us to look beyond, then we can challenge ourselves to ask new questions, to explore a version of ourselves that perhaps we had not been bold enough to explore before. So when we have imposter syndrome, when we have those that voice, first of all, I have found that it's often when we just allow our voice to say whatever it wants to say. It's like a jukebox on infinite repeat. There's a certain level of opportunity we have to become the sovereign of our own thoughts. And the more we develop that muscle, Daniel, the less those imposter syndromes gain traction. But I think it's really, really, really important when we're talking about perfectionism to really look at how we're defining all of those kind of things. Perfectionism, for example, if you look out into life and into the world, there is not one perfect tree that all the trees aspire to be. Perfection in nature is the ability to adapt and flow and change and get creative and think beyond the current problem per se. And so true perfection isn't one look, one story, one experience, one idea. True perfection is that ability to harmonize and flow beyond. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, Miss Meredith. And as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, first of all, Daniel, I believe we have one goal and one goal only, and that is to be taking our last breath, whenever that might be, saying, "Oh my gosh, this was freaking epic. I hope I have the chance to do this again." And everything along the way is an opportunity, an objective, the next finish line, something to play with. So for me, it really is discovering what that even more epic version of myself might look like. Again, empowered, purpose driven, innovative, collaborative. And so, is it first of all, I will say that for me, the context is making a positive impact with people, whether that's children, the next generation, or executives that I work with, companies that I work with, teams that I work with, to help them, in some cases, navigate or thrive beyond change. So, do I have more books inside of me? Absolutely. Do I have more speaking inside of me? Absolutely. And I'm saying that as someone who, when that boulder hit, I truly believed I am not a speaker. I'm terrified of speaker. And now I love it. So my main target is to be discovering the potential of who I have the opportunity to be in this brief time while I'm here on this majestic planet, and to have as much fun and live in that foundation of joy as much as possible so that I can ignite things that right now might seem impossible.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Meredith, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an author like you?
The piece of advice um is not necessarily a how, it's it's a who. Find one, find someone who can answer those how questions for you, even if it in this day and age, if it's AI, chat GPT, to tell you what you need to do in order to make that happen. Find a who perhaps can coach you to help you move things along. Find the who people who can be on your team to build you up in the moments when you go, oh my God, this is so hard. Yes, that's the adventure. That's the sweet part. It will get easier. Keep going. Keep going. And then the final who is who do you need to be in order to tell yourself, I am already an author. What sort of book am I going to write next in order to live that version of me?
Thank you for that advice, Miss Meredith. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my Abstract Essay is already in fifth season. Abstract Poetry in second season. My Book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in second season. And my Food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season. And my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season. And Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season. And Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Meredith, finally, now this book is out in the world. What is the new limit that has become your next beginning?
Oh, the new limit is really to go out there and you know, and figure out what that next limit for me is going to be. It's more books, it's more speaking, it's working with more people who are ready to unleash that epic version of themselves. We here I will say in the entire world right now, I feel like we're in a really transformational place where it's up to us individually to decide who we are going to be and who we are going to choose to step out into the world to be. And I would just say that don't underestimate the power of the world to positively surprise and delight you. Some of our greatest epicness often arrives disguised looking as the worst day of your life, and it certainly was for my daughter Skylar and I. So go out there and make a commitment between you and you. Who are you going to choose to be today, tomorrow, and whatever limits you may believe that you are facing, because they are temporary.
Yes, indeed, Miss Meredith Alexander. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your books, or any projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. I would invite you to come find me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you have an organization, your team needs a little bit of a boost through all of this change going on, look me up. I do keynotes, I do workshops, and of course, if you are a leader striving for excellence, optimal performance, and an epic inner game, I am your gal. Reach out to me. And
Ye-
if you're into
yes,
children,
yeah.
teaching children, the future generations, my daughter and I, aka Princess Happiness, we would love to help you up there as well.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Meredith Alexander because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Meredith, thank you so much for your time.
Daniel, thank you so much for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.